It's Monday, it's 12:30, and we are live on LinkedIn for this week's Live in LinkedIn. Hey, what a great name for a show. My name's Ashley Leeds, I'm the 15-minute guy, and I help people with LinkedIn, but I'm very nosy and I love talking to other people and finding out what's going on and what we should be doing in our business. And one of the things that I keep hearing people saying is, are you building your business up to sell? Well, no, of course I'm not, because it's just me. But there are people out there that know this stuff and they talk about it all the time. My guest today is Stuart Mason, and he wrote this amazing book. I interviewed him like 5 years ago, one of my first guests on my show. And we talked about this book, How to Wreck Your Business, because this guy wrecked his business. And now he's saying that we need to plan our business to sell. So let's get him in. Let's have a little chat with him. Hello, Stuart. How are you?
I'm absolutely brilliant, actually. And what an introduction there as well. And I tell you what, seriously, 5 years. Is that how long it's been?
Yeah, I started my business, and pretty soon after I started my business, I got the license to go live on LinkedIn, because back then you had to apply. Okay, and I wrote off an email, filled out a form, and waited and waited and waited. And as soon as it came back, I went, right, I'm going to do a live show. Didn't know what I was doing, and here I am, 5 years down the line. Over 400 shows done already.
Fantastic. That must have been, what, 30 back then?
You were 30, yeah. In dog years, Stuart. In dog years.
In dog years.
Well, hang on.
Yes.
Your book tells us how it all went belly up on the 20th anniversary of your business.
Yes.
So you must have been a little bit older than 30 when we met then.
No, not a little bit older than 30. A lot older than 30.
But how's things? We've met loads of times before then. We've worked together. We've done joint collaborations and stuff like that. But yeah, how's life? Tell everybody who you are and what you do, please, Stuart.
Okay. With this mind, I've only got half an hour. So I'm Stuart. I'm based up here in the sunny north of Scotland in Lossiemouth, and it's very sunny today. And in a nutshell, I just help business owners. But I now help business owners to prepare their business for exit. Now, what we were talking about previously, actually, with book number 1, How to Wreck Your Business, because I'm good at it, was the story of how I built that really successful business, multi-million-pound business, largest chain of independent print centres in the country. Business was flying, making a ton of money. There was supercars and helicopters, the full 9 yards. It's all in the book. And that business failed in its 20th birthday. How's that even possible? Well, the success of the business was masking those mistakes, right? And the reason I've moved now into helping business owners prepare their business for sale is it's all linked. It's all linked. Because even back in the day, when that business was at its peak, it wasn't sellable, right? And people are surprised when I say this, and I don't often say this. I kind of allude to it. But even when that business was at its peak, I hated it. Because it was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, hassle and stress beyond belief, right? One of my friends once said to me, Stuart, you're the most miserable bastard with a supercar. Yeah. Right? Because I never got a chance to enjoy it, actually. I had an Aston Martin Vanquish S. That's a 200 grand sports car. And it spent 90% of its life in the garage. Another 10% that was out, it spent it back in the dealership because it kept on breaking down, but that's another story. And what I didn't realise at the time, I would have argued with you that business wasn't sellable. How can it not be sellable? It's making a ton of money. And this is the big mistake we get, actually. Business owners, large and small, but I like to focus with the smaller businesses. They think their business is sellable because it's making good money. It might even be giving them a good lifestyle. But a healthy P&L and a strong balance sheet does not make your business sellable. And like me, you only find that out when you try and put a for sale sign in the ground.
Is that what you did when you had your business?
Well, I tried to sell it when things were not at its best. Now, the business was worth money because it had quite a sizable property portfolio. So it was an asset stripper's dream. But in terms of a business for sale, No, because it was so overly dependent. And the statistics in the UK are horrible, Ashley, right? 80% of businesses that get listed for sale never sell. Not don't sell for what you expect or don't sell within the time frame you thought. Do not sell.
That's shocking.
Oh, it actually gets worse.
Hang on. I just want to unpick this a bit. So when I see a business for sale or hear of it in town, I'm Chamber of Commerce, so I hear things.
Yes.
And you know that XYZ company is selling and this business is selling. You're saying that 80% of them don't sell. So what happens to those 80%?
They either carry on or just close down.
Right. Okay. So mum and pop have built this business. They've been in it donkey's years. The kids don't want to take it over. Nobody else wants to buy it. So they just shut the door and they've got nothing to show for it.
And is that not horrific, Ashley? You've spent decades building that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did say it gets worse.
Oh,
because
right,
that 80% covers all businesses in the UK, including the big guys.
Yep.
And most of those deals do go through. Well, not most, but a significant proportion. So it means that it's more than 80% at the bottom end of the market. Now, we don't have the exact figures. It's probably closer to 90%. So let's just say the bulk of small businesses in the UK that get listed for sale never sell.
Okay, I've got another question for you then.
Yes.
If 80% of those businesses never sell, if we are looking to buy a business, we need to be very diligent that we don't get one of those, don't we?
And that's why they don't sell, Ashley, because it's usually during that due diligence process that all the cracks start to appear. So things like, what's the big killers? Owner dependency is one of the biggest killers, right? The business is you, right? Now,
can I just interrupt you one second? We've got Alistair Milroy's just asking a question. How many of those listed for sale, those 20% actually sell?
Who knows? But in fact, Alistair, the 80% that don't sell, the 20% that do sell, I think what you're saying there is, do they sell at the price expected? We'll put a big question mark because we don't know the answer to that. It's a very, very good question and a very, very valid point. How many of them sell for what they expect? Yeah, well, there's another question. Now, one thing to bear in mind, though, Ashley, is small businesses that are only maybe 1 or 2 employees are still sellable, right? People think, because the business is me, it's not sellable. What kills a business is transferability, right? I'm starting to see quite an increase now in business sales for lifestyle businesses, right? So what we're seeing is people in, sadly, in teaching and in public sector and large corporate life are just sick of the bullshit, right? They have been in this particular civil service area for a number of years. They've worked up a good pension. They're not financially in trouble, but they're too early to retire. So they want to do something. So they're looking for a lifestyle business. So if you've got a business that's just you, as long as it's transferable, the key here is transferability, then you've still got a business with value. As long as you're realistic, you're not going to sell your business for 2 million unless you've got some seriously good IP. The key is preparation. Without that, you're never going to get your business.
This was the question I was going to ask, which
yes.
Mike has Mike Cotton. Hi, Mike. Thanks for coming in. Is it impossible to sell a one-person business if it's owner dependent?
That's what we were just talking about, Mike. Of course, there's challenges. Let's not kid ourselves on otherwise. But to answer your question, is it impossible to sell a one-person business? No, it's not impossible, right? But it depends on your business. If it's transferable, another way. In fact, I tell you what, Mike. Here's the analogy that I use: the phone SIM card. right? If your business is built like a phone SIM card, then I come along and buy your business, Mike. SIM card comes out, that's you away. My SIM card goes in and the phone carries on working as normal, but it's got a different SIM card, but the phone still works as normal. That's the analogy I use, right? So if you've got a business that is well structured, well systemized, you might even have other people. The key, Mike, is it's transferable. So the systems and processes are there. And the important one is the customer relationships aren't built around you. Because if I'm looking at your business and all the customers love Mike and they come to Mike, then when Mike goes, the customers might go as well. So I hope that answers your question, Mike. Is it impossible? No, but you've got to play by different rules.
Yeah, and that makes an awful lot of sense, because again, I win business because I'm me. People want to work with me, and I'm guessing Mike's asking the same question because Mike's likable too. But if I started building my business so that I could sell it, I'd have to put things in place like a membership that is going to be a revenue stream, and then have people running that membership rather than me running that membership.
Yes. So let me just cut in there, Ashley, because you've mentioned something very, very important. So I wrote a book called Go to Sell, because I was really frustrated by the goings on, shall we say, in the whole bottom end of the M&A market. Some of the practices are quite shocking. So go to sell is the raw and honest truth about exiting your business. And one of the things I really cover, and I bang on about this all the time, and I know it doesn't suit every business, but if you really want to add value to your business, what we call the desirability. If you want to add value, then what you've got to look at is recurring revenues. Exactly what you're saying there, membership schemes, recurring revenues. The desirability goes through the roof, the valuation goes through the roof. Now, like I say, I know it doesn't suit every business, but it suits most businesses. Buyers love recurring revenues, Ashley.
Yeah, so an accountancy practice, for example, they've got 100 clients, each client spending £100 a month. You know that you've got that regular income. Whereas an estate agent, they're only as good as the houses that they've sold this month. So
good example. In fact, great example. How would you get an estate agent to be a recurring revenue model? You couldn't. A membership model, you couldn't. Well, having said that, you maybe could, right? But it'd be very, very difficult. Whereas we're accountant, and your business as well. If you've got an online program, as I have, right? I've got a new online program. It's what, £75 a month, and it goes through the whole Go to Sell program. So what is it, 24 modules over the year? That's recurring revenue, because it's online. You get a module's released every 2 weeks, but you can go at your own pace, right? I'm not really involved in that. So whether I've got 100 clients or 1,000 clients, it doesn't really matter, and that's what buyers love.
Yeah, okay. So at the higher end, then, when we've got more than a few people in the business, so let's take your printing business. Okay, at the peak, how many people did you have?
25, Ashley.
And over how many sites?
What do we have? 12. Right. I always remember. Was it 20? Yeah, 25. Because I always remember 25. It was 24 too many.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that's the thing. But if you had systems in place, then the business could run without you. And I guess, like every small business owner, we like doing the do, and we don't think anyone else can do it as well as we can do.
It's very interesting you say that, Ashley, because the world we live in today, the business world we live in today, was completely different from the business world that I had. So when was my business at its peak? 2004, 2005, 2006, that kind of period. There was no AI, right? There was no AI. And there was nothing like the kind of online programs that we've got now, like Zero and all the rest of it. We used Sage back in the day, which was about as intuitive as the space shuttle manual. And but I had a good team. I had good people that were, more than capable of running my business. The problem was me. And I'm quite open about that in the first book. The problem was me. It wasn't the business. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So I had a good team. I just didn't empower them enough.
And so your advice to, business owners today is to what?
My advice to business owners today is move to the Cayman Islands, but for a tax purpose. So I can't say that. My advice to businesses today, quite simply, is build with the exit in mind. Right, building it's a well-known, well-used phrase. Build with the end in mind. Start with the end in mind, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter actually whether you're going to sell or not. It almost becomes irrelevant, right? But what you do have is the choice, right? And when business owners come to me, so, Stuart, I'm thinking about selling my business. Can you help me? Maybe is the first question, because I need to know the time frame. I want to sell this year. There's nothing I can do other than having a chat and looking for big gaping holes. There's nothing I can do, because you really want to be 3 to 5 years, ideally 5 years, because that's the length of time it takes to understand what needs to get fixed, to fix it, and then see those benefits drip in to the bottom line. 3 to 5 years is what you need. So start with the end in mind. That's what I would say to every single business owner. Because we all exit a business at some point. It's either sale or succession, it goes tits up, or you get carried out in a wooden box with brass handles. Either way, we all exit a business at some point. It's how you do it. That's what you've got the choice with.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got this online course, and so I can just go and take this online course, and I'll be ready to sell my business. How does it all work?
So the online course is number 3 in the process. The paid online course is number 3 in the process, right? One of the things I'm quite critical about, Ashley, is I've got a business. It's not sellable. So I'll pay you lots of money to list my business so that it won't sell. That is pretty much what a lot of the M&A market is in the UK just now. Okay. Right, I've got a business that's not sellable. You know it's not sellable. You'll take the fee anyway and value my business at something ridiculous. So I want to break away from that. So yes, I've got a paid course, but you're not getting it. Right? Because what I want you to do first is I want you to do the business exit readiness score. It's free. Send me a message on LinkedIn and I'll send you the link. It's 20 questions. It takes you about 4 to 5 minutes, and then it gives you a score and a report. That's number 1. And that gives you an awareness of how ready your business is for sale. Then once you've done that, I'm going to give you the link to the Business Exit Academy. It's a 3-month course, 3 modules over 3 months, and you get that for free. Right? And once you've completed that, then you'll now say to me, I've got this, thanks very much, I don't need your help, or I'm really interested in the paid course to start really moving things along. Because it's a bit like reading a book, actually. The number of people that read, there's some really, really good business books out there. People read them and they just expect the magic to happen.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Isn't that how it works?
No, I have to honest. I spent years trying that, mate. I've just read this good book and I'm not a millionaire. It was a shite book after all.
It's the same with buy yourself a bike and you'll have perfect abs or whatever it is you need to buy. But you've actually got to jump on the bike and pedal.
You've got
to go up some hills. You've got to, do the miles. So, yeah, that is great. That is great advice, and nice that you've got it all for free, so I can just dip my toes in. So when I'm setting up my business, okay, I'm building a website. I'm working out what my offer is. I also need to be thinking about how I'm going to exit.
Yes. So you're starting to think, how can I build systems that are not relying on me, or even not relying on people? How can I build systems that run the business? I think it was Branson that said that people don't run your business, the systems run your business, the people run the systems. So that's number 1. But you're also looking at the exit in mind. So you're building a business that's not reliant on one or two key clients. This is another killer, actually. So a buyer comes in, you've got a business that's turned over $500,000, making decent money. An excited buyer comes in and goes, "This is fantastic. Let me just see the customer breakdown, if you don't mind." You'll send both of them over to you. Oh, sorry, both. Right, okay. Right. Because that is a big, big risk for a client, for a buyer rather.
Yeah.
So we've got owner dependency, we've got, we've got the customer breakdown, the customer concentration. What else do you think would be a killer for business exit? What else do you think is going to get buyers running for a mile, Ashley?
Profitability?
Not always, though. Right? People, again, this works both ways. People think when they've got a really profitable business, it's automatically sellable. It's not. And people think when they've got a business that's not profitable, then they've got a business that's not sellable. And that, again, is not the case. Because a buyer coming in looking at it going, hang on a minute, this is a really good business, but it's a bit chaotic with admin. It's a bit chaotic with marketing. They're missing this, they're missing this, they're missing this. This business, for me, is actually worth a fortune.
Okay.
So you've got to be mindful. So people do think, of course, the finances are important. Of course, the finances are important. But it doesn't necessarily mean a business is sellable or not sellable. That's the really important part, Ashley.
Okay. But yeah, so how is every business sellable?
Now, that's a very interesting question. Is every business sellable? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. Right? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, every business is sellable. But we've got to be realistic what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this brings me on to valuations. Right? Business valuations, including mine, right, you take with a pinch of salt. Right? Because how can you possibly value a business by asking 10 questions? So what you can get, and I think what my valuation tool is good at is it gives you a bottom price and it gives you an ambitious price, and then obviously you're somewhere in between, right? However, this brings us on nicely, Ash. There's a huge difference between value and valuation. You do not get the two mixed up. Valuation is the literal pounds and pence, the EBITDA of your business, or STE, depends which method you're using to value it. So the valuation is the mechanical number. The value is the emotional element of your business. How much value is this business got? What's the growth potential? What's the untapped market? The one thing you want, if you're selling your business, the one thing you want after the very first meeting you've had with this potential buyer is for them to jump in their car and go, this guy's been playing at it, because they can see the potential of your business moving forward.
Yep. Okay.
Now, something else to bear in mind when we talked about starting with the end in mind. The reason that's so important links to value and valuation. Because let's say, what's the average multiple in the UK? Times 4. So EBITDA times 4 is a good indication of what a business valuation is. Don't get hung up on it. It's just an approximate figure. But if you've got a times 4 multiple, that means every pound of value that you add to your business puts £4 in your pocket at the other end. Now, you don't get the full £4. Unfortunately, Rachel from accounts takes a fair whack of it now because we don't have entrepreneurs tax relief anymore, but you get the picture. Every pound that you add in value gives you £4 back in valuation when you sell your business. I think that's a pretty decent investment, to be honest. That's worth the time. That is worth the effort.
Excellent. Right, got another question from Mike. You're hanging in on every word here, Mike. Thank you very much. How difficult is to sell a business that's branded in the business owner's name? For example, Mike Cotton Limited.
Yeah, that is always a problem, Mike.
Great question, isn't it?
It is a good question, and of course, the business is still sellable. There's a couple of businesses out there where you actually see the business being sold, but Mike, it does make it difficult. It does make it more difficult. Because what tends to happen, and you can maybe come back in and just tell us if this is the case with you, when you've got your business, it's Mike Cotton, then the clients and all the marketing are tuned in to ask for Mike Cotton, right? So the customers deal with you all the time. The relationships are there with you.
Hang on a second. How many times have you been into that amazing department store and asked to speak to John Lewis?
Exactly. It's slightly different, but there is a lot of small businesses that are in the name. In fact, when you're doing the business exit readiness score, it's one of the things that asks, is your first or second name used in the business? So it doesn't make it not sellable, Mike, but it does make it a little bit harder. Sorry to give you the bad news, because it's usually the business is built around you and not necessarily the business itself.
Unless you can find another Mike Cotton that fancies a business. That would work.
There you go. Or you just agree to pay the person's, deed poll expenses and get them to change their name. Honestly, everything's manageable, Ashley. There's always a way.
It is. We're almost out of time, and I haven't roasted your post yet.
Oh, have you not? Right, okay.
No, we do a little feature in this show where I actually roast your post. So if you've got any content that you've done recently that I can have a look at. So I'm going to put this up, and then you can tell me.
Roast my post. Roast my post. Give me the comment ghost. Roast my post. Roast my post. We're gonna roast my...
There you go.
Okay.
Look at that. So
roast the post then. Stop there, Ashley. Every Friday I do a cartoon called Rexit, and Rexit is the exit dog. So we take a business topic, we humorize it, and Rexit, the dog who's very, very wise, and he's business owner dad who makes tons of mistakes, and I think they're brilliant, and it bombs. I mean, it gets one or two comments at best. I'm like, seriously? Okay. So give it a roast. Go on.
Well, first of all, I love the idea. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. But it's definitely AI. The way you've created this.
Let me go in there, Ashley. AI builds it, but it's very, very. The script I give AI is very detailed. Okay. So it gets a human script, and then AI builds the cartoon.
Right. Okay. So what I would suggest you do here is turn it into a document post rather than an image post. All right. And then you could have 6 pages. All right. So the first page. Are you near an airport?
Well, I'm near, literally right beside RAF Lossiemouth. So.
Right. Okay.
Apparently, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East just now, so it's quite busy here.
That's crazy. That's a real noisy plane.
It's anyway, QRA, so it's going up.
So the first page would be the question. All right. So the very first page would be the question. So, do you take holidays, or something like that? And then the next page would be the first cartoon. The third page would be the second one, etc., etc. And then the last page would be a little bit of don't just bark about it. Rexit properly. And then a few little like a call to action. Give us a shout. Follow. Take the quiz, something like that. So then I can flick through it on my phone very easily, because 70% of people are using LinkedIn on their phones. So I can read it easily, because if I look at that on my mobile phone, the text is too small. Okay. Good point. So if you've got bigger pages, so your 6 pages, I'm going to flick through. Now the thing is, once it's a document post and I'm flicking through, I'm spending a little bit of time on that post. So therefore, that's giving word to LinkedIn that this is interesting because people are spending a bit of time on it. So that's the first thing, is turn it into document post and do your 6 pages. The next thing is start your post with a question. Okay, so if you can't go away for 3 weeks, then how do you expect to go away for the rest of your life? There you go. Right. Okay. So is it easy for you to go on holiday? All right. Is it easy for you to take time off your business? Something like that is the hook. Okay. That's the question. And then the second question is, if you were thinking about exiting your business, could you honestly take a month off work and still have a business when you come back? Something like that. And then built on that as the post. Okay, so I can read the post and get it, but I can also flick through the pictures. And I think flicking through the pictures is going to get me to read the post. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I think
you know how sometimes, once again, Ashley, you come up with something so obvious, right, that you're left thinking, for not thinking about that.
Yeah, but look, let's face it. You're busy helping people get a proper business sold. All right. I'm in LinkedIn all day long. So I just see all this stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for that question. We've got a question just come in on the comments. Yes, Mike's saying if only he had the influence of John Lewis. We're out of time. Before we say goodbye, I just want to let everybody know that next week I have got John Experience. If you think I know a little bit about LinkedIn, this guy is a relentlessly helpful LinkedIn nerd. So we are going to be chatting all things LinkedIn. I cannot wait. Such a helpful guy. Stuart, how do we get hold of you?
How do you get hold of me? The easiest way probably is to come up to Lossiemouth and just wander up and down the West Beach, and you'll see me there with Monty, my brown German Shepherd. That's where we spend most of our time. If you can't do that, because Lossiemouth can be quite far away, then connect with me on LinkedIn.
Excellent. And
that's the easiest way.
But you might be next to a RAF station, so you could probably get an in-house flight or something.
Yes.
Up to Lossiemouth. Stuart, you've been absolutely great fun. Thanks ever so much for coming on the show today. Thank you to everybody for all your comments, your questions, and we will be back next week. Thank you very much indeed. Cheerio now. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching or listening to my show this week. I want to bring to you people that can help us running our business. I love having a chat. I'm very nosy, very curious, and I'd love to ask questions. So if you want to be a guest, or if you've got some ideas for guests, let me know. And if you want me to help you with your LinkedIn, get in touch, because I want to give you a voice. Now, that could just be using LinkedIn, but I do other things as well. So I can help you with a podcast, a live show, and all kinds of other amazing things. So get in touch. My name is Ashley Leeds. I'm the 15-minute guy, and you can find me on LinkedIn.